There you go.
Okay.
Meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tech Club. I'm broadcasting today from my beautifully appointed kitchen out in Lone Star, Kansas. It's been snowing out here and a little hard to get out, but um, it's we're doing just fine. The birds and I are doing well, and we've got a wonderful program for you today with Tech Club. Before we start, though, we want to do a shout out to our sponsors, the people that make this happen, and that is, of course, Capital Federal, who funds all of the retroactive stuff, and also Sharon and David Katzman, who are helpful in all of the endeavors we have. So we want to thank them. Yay, jazz hands. Woo, woo. Okay, all right. So thank them for our time and our ability to get together on such a cold afternoon. And today we're going to talk about Facebook basics, and our expert is Ben Trickey, and he's been working at the library now for quite some time. He is a marketing and communication specialist. So he's the man to talk to because I have a feeling that Facebook specializes in that too. So he's going to give us the ins and outs. As he is giving his presentation to us, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. I'll try to be vigilant to keep a look at that. He'd like to answer questions as we go. And I guess that's about all I have to say. I hope you've got a warm beverage. I'm favoring Earl Grey tea, well sugared, as they serve it on Call the Midwife. So find your warm beverage and let's listen to Ben. And Ben, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks
Let us
for
know
having
all
me.
the Facebook basics, please.
Of course, I'm going to pull up my little presentation and we'll
Great.
get started. Um, okay, so as Laurel said, my name is Ben Trickey. I'm the marketing and communication specialist at the library. And today I wanted to talk to you all about some of the basics of kind of how to navigate Facebook, how it works, but also in light of some of the changes of Facebook's policies this week and some questions that Laurel was asking me ahead of the presentation. I also wanted to provide some tips for keeping yourself protected from, bad actors who might be existing on the platform. So scammers, hackers, catfish, etc. Facebook isn't unique in terms of social media platforms for having these types of problems, but like any online interactive space and the technology it uses can be used in exploitative ways. But they did just roll back some of their policies earlier this week in terms of like what kinds of behaviors will lead to users' posts being taken down and profiles being deleted. So it's always good to be safe and to know how to protect yourself on social media in general. But today we're talking about Facebook. And then please note there are no silly or stupid questions. It has literally become part of my career to keep track of all the changing features. And I can tell you it's nearly impossible for a single person to keep up with literally every single feature and policy on every social media platform. So anything you have to ask is totally fair game, and I'm happy to answer it. And feel free to put those in the chat, like Laurel said. And as we go along, if you want me to stop or repeat something or explain it more deeply, I can absolutely do that. So just to get started, I created a model profile, so not my real Facebook profile, for this presentation. So my name is Ben Model for model. For this presentation, and I use that for all the screenshots that you'll see here. I've only followed a few accounts around Lawrence on this profile. It's only 2 days old, so you're not going to see all the full features of like a profile that has existed for multiple years, but you'll see enough and we'll be able to manage and navigate around it. For the presentation part, I'm using mostly screenshots, but you will also, I have the Facebook page pulled up, so especially at the end, if we want to go searching for something and look through something, walk through it together, we have the ability to do that. So just to get started, let's talk about the different places on Facebook. Some of y'all who have been on Facebook for a while are probably aware of these terms, but I think it's good to kind of have a shared vocabulary. So the newsfeed is the home page of Facebook. If you type in facebook.com on any browser and you are logged into that account, it will pop up your newsfeed. So in other words, it's the location that all the public posts shared by people and pages you follow, or sponsored posts or ads from companies that have like paid money to reach you on the platform, and some recommended posts that were recommended by the Facebook algorithm. So from pages that you don't necessarily follow, but Facebook thinks that you'll like. And you can see here that we actually have a recommended post right here at the top of my newsfeed from Kansas Jayhawk Fans for Life, because I followed just some places around Lawrence, like the library and City of Lawrence and the KU Natural History Museum. And so it recommended this cool Jayhawk-shaped snowman post just to based on that. And not to go into too technical, but just talking about the algorithm and giving you all the basics. So when people talk about algorithms on social media, they're talking about a complex series of rules and calculations that basically keep track of your interactions with the platform and your interests as you apply them, as you give them that information. So Facebook uses this to kind of decide what posts to recommend to you and prioritize in your feed. So in short, it will try to show you more of the things, more of the kinds of content that makes you stop scrolling and actually interact with with what's going on. So you'll see things like, comment, and share. If you're doing any of those reactions, if you're commenting on a post, if you're sharing a post, that's the interactions. But it's also tracking when you're scrolling and when you're stopping. And the things that make you stop, it says, that got their attention. We'll show them more of that. And I think that's like a good thing to know about social media in general, is that algorithms aren't calibrated to what you like. They're calibrated to what you give attention to. And that's kind of always an interesting wrinkle, because that can be positive reactions or negative reactions. If you are reacting to a thing that gives you joy and excitement, they will show you that, but they will also show you things that you stop and react to in anger or disappointment. And so it's always important to think about, how am I managing my social media profile not to feed into maybe a negative feedback loop of the algorithm. And you can do both. And so what you can control, because most of the code and what's going on in the algorithm is not for us to touch or even see. But you can do specific things. So for example, here I had a post come up that was essentially reels and short videos. Because my Facebook profile is new and I don't have a lot of interest in shared information, they're sharing just any old thing with me on my newsfeed. And so we have this video of a robot bird and maybe a dancing area. I don't know what these are. But if I decide that I don't want to engage with posts like this, I say, oh, that's not really what I'm looking for. I want Lawrence-based content only. I can click on the three dots in the top right corner there where the arrow's pointing, and then pick hide. And you can do that with any posts. It's not just with posts that randomly are suggested on your profile. You can do it with ads that show up. And you can also do it with, if somebody you follow or a page you follow or a friend is posting about a specific topic and you just don't want to see much of it, you can go to the three dots and you can adjust your settings how you see fit. But definitely for suggested posts, that will help the algorithm kind of get more of what you actually want to see. Just a small way to help the algorithm along, it's still going to show you kind of the stuff that Facebook prioritizes. So that's something to keep in mind. But we're talking also about posts, because posts are essentially the central kind of unit that gets shared in and around Facebook. So this is one that I posted just the other day on my Ben Model account. And you can see that you can do a bunch of different things with your posts. You can say how you're feeling. So they have a whole list of specific things. So I was saying, Ben is feeling excited. And I said, I can't wait to present at Tech Club Facebook Basics at the library this Thursday, which we're doing right now. And I was able to post a GIF as well, which, a little moving picture image, but you could also do videos if you have those. But I picked this one from The Office that says, y'all ready for this? Because I wanted to show I was so excited to do this presentation. And what's great about posts is that you can kind of mix and match any of these elements to create posts. So it can be just text, it can be just image, a video, or it can be a combination of a bunch of those things. You can use emojis, but essentially the idea is that when you post, when you create a post, it's going to be created in a way that can be viewed by the public. You can change your audience based on like how you set up your settings. So for example, any of your posts, after you post them, you can change it, go to the three dots in the top right corner of that post, and you'll go down the little drop down menu to the gear icon that says edit audience. And so if you were saying, oh, I just want to share something to a very specific group of friends or to very specific people, you can change who is able to see which posts that you're sharing. And you can change it per post, or you can set it up in your settings so that there's a default. The default when you first start Facebook, I did not change it when I created this one, is just to share just to your friends. So anybody who has accepted a friend request from you, or you have accepted a friend request from them. But you can pick any of these.
Ben, there was
Yeah,
a quick question. Someone said, how do you post those GIFs? How do you do that? I
yeah.
believe.
That is a great question. I'm going to move over to the Facebook actual thing, and we can walk through that together. So here's my Ben Model page in real time. So basically, Facebook loves it when you post. They want more people to engage with their platform. So you can create a post from any page, essentially. We're on the newsfeed, right? The home page right now, but right at the top, it says, "What's on your mind, Ben?" And I can click on that and start creating a post. You'll see down here underneath the main text that there's a little icon that says GIF on it, GIF. You can click on that, and then you can search from, I believe all these GIFs come from a website called Giphy.com. But here I said, like, y'all ready for this? And it will come up with a bunch of options. The one I picked didn't come up immediately because Giphy probably has its own algorithm that it's suggesting for me. But you have all sorts of pictures. So yeah, if I was saying I wanted to hang out with all of you, I'd say I would want to kick it with y'all, and we could do that, and I could share that. And then we can share the post from there. In terms of like sharing that feeling, if you wanted to do that, you can go down to the little feelings button, and like I said, excited. But you can pick any of these. They have preset ones, and those will kind of populate up at the top of your little thing. So yeah. Do we have any other questions while we're here?
I don't
That's
see any. That was really cool. I particularly liked John Candy.
yeah. No, you'd be surprised. There's all sorts of gifts from all sorts of media. So it's always fun to play around with.
They are
Um,
fun. Thanks.
yeah, of course. So let's jump back in. Yeah, we just talked about how you can select your audience. So if you wanted to share it to anybody in the public, if you wanted to go out, you could do that. Or you could even put it as only me. So maybe you just want to put some pictures up on your social profile just to put in your album to collect photos and save them there for posterity. But you don't really want anybody to see them unless you want to show them later. You could pick only me, and then they're there on your profile. You can organize them into albums. But in the meantime, it won't be shared with anybody else. Facebook has access to those photos, but nobody who follows you will be able to just go to your page and view them. So I think that's an important distinction. Okay, so we talked about the news feed, which is kind of the home page for the whole website. The timeline is essentially the homepage for your individual profile. This is your home base. Basically, this is where the posts that you've created now live. So if anybody wanted to find anything out about you, the things that you've shared, they could go to your user page, depending on your privacy settings. In theory, all of your friends would be able to see the posts that you've shared. So we can see that same post that I had with the GIF and the feeling excited down here. But it's also got a lot of information that you can choose to share or not share under the About section. Actually, we jumped ahead. So you'll see along the top here, there's posts, about, friends, photos, videos, check-ins, and then there's a drop-down for even more. You can share personal information about yourself, things about your workplace, your high school, your college, the current city you live, your hometown, your relationship status, any contact information. I know businesses that create Facebook pages really like to use that type of information. You put your hours, you put your contact, like your email or your phone number, stuff like that. But everything that you do post, and I think this is important to remember, has the potential to be used or shared by Facebook by putting it on the platform. You are, as a part of the terms of service, you are agreeing that anything you post on the platform can be, in theory, used by them. There's varying levels of to like how and when they can use that. But we already know that they're using certain bits of information, like if you put your interests in your profile, they're using that information to inform their algorithm, and they can share that with other people as well, other companies and such. Like I kind of said at the beginning, this is not special for Facebook. They are not alone in this feature. But yeah, in general, the terms of service generally allow things that you have put onto the website can then be used. They can't be used without like your attribution per se, but they can be taken and that information can be sold as well. So something to keep in mind. And there's ways that you can change your privacy settings to kind of limit that to a certain degree. And I have a whole section for settings and privacy near the end that we can walk through if y'all are interested in looking into that. Let's talk about notifications. So notifications are kind of available on every app. The kind of the new the universal symbol for notifications and alerts has become this bell, the bell icon. Ringing the bell to get your attention notifications. And they can look like all sorts of things. In the next slide, I have them more zoomed in. But for right now, the only ones I have on here are they suggested this top one was straight from Facebook saying, I made that post that said, I can't wait to present at this event. And it said, hey, you should create a Facebook event, which is a specific type of post you can create. So suggestion from Facebook, but also suggestions about where to find friends. But basically, these are messages from Facebook itself that tell you about a post or an interaction that it thinks you'd be interested in seeing. It's part of the algorithm. And so when you follow a page or add a friend on Facebook, you can turn on these notifications yourself to basically get one of these notifications, get these messages from Facebook to say that they posted. But you can also turn off notifications in certain contexts. There's specific settings in different places. So if you find yourself receiving a bunch of notifications that you are not interested in, you can go, usually it's the three dots in the corner of the type of notification that you're looking at, and check the settings and see if you can limit those. There are options to snooze specific pages. So if you just don't want to see them for 30 days, for example, you can snooze them for 30 days and such. But yes, for the most part, you get to decide which notifications you want to see besides the ones that come directly from Facebook. They have full control over those. And then we move on to friend requests. So I asked Kathleen earlier today to add me as a friend, and so we have a little notification here in the top right corner. When somebody sends you a friend request, it might appear up in this top right corner of your news feed, but it will also show up in your notifications. So there's a little bell icon, you click on that, and then the little drop-down menu, you'll see blank has sent you a friend request, and then you can choose to confirm or delete, or you can leave them in limbo while you decide whether or not they're worthy of your Facebook friendship. Other profiles, a good rule of thumb, I would say, is don't accept friend requests from people you have not met in real life or offline. And if someone you know sends you a friend request, it might still be good to check with them in person or via some other trusted form of communication, like a phone call or a video call, to make sure that it's actually them and not somebody who has like stolen their likeness and is trying to pretend to be them. Scammers are pretty good on all forms of social media, not just Facebook. at doing research to see who your friends are on the platform, to look into your photos and see if they can find somebody that you might know and pretend to be them, and create accounts using the information that they're just able to find online. And so the key here is that if you can do a real life kind of confirmation about who these people are, that is highly recommended, because then they won't have access to your information as easily. But even if you are reaching out to somebody, maybe who you haven't met before, as long as you know somebody in real life who knows them and you can confirm that, I think it's always good to check just to be sure. There's also people that sometimes replicate somebody who you're already friends with. So they might show up and you might get a new friend request. Like if I got a second one from a different Kathleen, but it was Kathleen's picture, uh, good to check in. I would probably call up Kathleen and let her know, hey, I just got a friend request from you, but it's a different account than your usual account. What's going on? And Kathleen can tell me, oh, that's me. I got rid of my old account. Or she can tell me, that's not me. Make sure you report that account, and make sure that Facebook knows that somebody is pretending to be Kathleen for whatever
Can I ask
reason.
a question really quickly? I might be the only one.
Sure.
Why? Why
Yeah.
do they want, why? I mean, is that, I hope it's not stupid, but why, what can they possibly gain? Or
Yeah.
what are they
Not
trying to do?
not a stupid question at all. Often they want money. That's the main thing, and the vehicle to which they get the money changes. But that's often the main thing. Some people want money, or to get your private information, to get stuff from you that they can use, that they can then use to get money or sell to different people who can use it more. And then some scammers kind of play the long game of slowly building a relationship with you and like asking for nothing, only to then, once they have your trust, kind of say, oh, I'm in dire straits. We've been friends for, months on Facebook and we've really bonded. I need $300 for, because my mom's in the hospital and I don't know what we're gonna do. Um, Essentially, a lot of these people are dedicating all of their time to maintaining a lot of different accounts and trying this type of thing. Some people too, if you've ever seen the show Catfish or heard of that, they're just doing it because they get some sort of thrill from tricking people and feeling important. There's a lot of reasons why people do it, but ultimately, kind of just being careful on the internet, because there's this cloak of anonymity. Even if people show pictures with their family, with things like AI now, you can kind of create meaningful images that look real. And so it's really important to be thoughtful about who you're interacting with and how you're interacting with them as well. You can totally talk to people who you do not know on the internet. There's nothing wrong with that inherently. But thinking about the way that the relationship works and what you're getting out of each other. If you just share funny posts to each other and that's all it ever is, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that.
Turn off the lights.
Just something to keep in mind.
Extreme, I rock a mic like a band or
But no, not a silly question, Laurel. I think that's a great question. Um, let's talk about Messenger, speaking of, especially depending on your privacy settings, kind of anybody can send you a message. So I highly recommend making sure that your settings are set to only my friends can message me on Facebook. And we'll look more at that when we get to the settings section. But Messenger is a specific app. So if you have Facebook on your phone, there will be a separate app for Messenger, but it works alongside Facebook. And you can send direct messages to others, other users, but also other pages. So like here you can see I sent a message earlier today to the Lawrence Public Library account, and then the Lawrence Public Library account responded to me. It was just me responding back. But when you click on the icon next to the bell, you can see it's a little speech bubble with kind of like a lightning bolt in it. That will pull on your chats. Essentially, every conversation you have with a unique individual or group is called a chat. And then when you click on each of those chats, it'll pop up in the bottom right corner, kind of like when you're drafting a new email in Gmail. So if you click new email, the message will pop up down there. It's a similar kind of user interface. And so I said to Facebook today, this is just or to the library's Facebook. This is just an example message for the Tech Club Facebook Basics event. And I responded to myself from the Facebook account. Awesome. Good luck with the event. Hope it's going well. And yes, so you'll notice that all of the options in the bottom left here of that little message, you can send gifts here as well. There are things called stickers that you can send. If you want to share a photo with somebody, you can do that. It's also worth noting that you can create group chats to talk to multiple people at once. So like if you wanted to be friends with become Facebook friends with family members online, you could create like a family group chat to check in about news and such like that. Messenger is really useful, but it's also just good to remember that it's anything you kind of put on the internet can, in theory, be kept there forever, even if you delete something. So be careful about what you say to other people, and be aware of the way that you're coming across as well via messages like this. Because yeah, Facebook saves this information and this becomes part of it too. If you shared a link to a sweater that you were thinking of buying for a gift, Facebook now knows that you like that store and that sweater, and that can be used to inform the algorithm. But they can also sell that information elsewhere, or give that information, use it as they see fit. So something to consider. But like I said, not just Facebook, all like, maybe it's bold of me to say all, but most social media platforms work like this. They're companies that are trying to make money. Let's talk about events. I mentioned them earlier. Events are interactive posts used to promote a specific event, including digital invites. There's RSVPs and a public or private guest list, depending on which settings that you choose. Here we have an event for tomorrow called Computer Basics Getting Started. It's tomorrow at noon at the library. And I just wanting to show as an example, put that I am interested. There's different ways that you can RSVP. If you just are like, oh, that sounds like something I would be interested in, but you're not ready to commit or decline the event, you can just put interested, and then it saves it in your list of events. And Facebook is pretty good at giving you a notification under the little bell icon when that event is approaching to see if you actually want to go or not. You can invite other people to the event when it's public like this. The library would allow me to send it to other people I think might be interested. And when you create your own, there's all sorts of settings that you can change. So if you wanted it to be a private event just to the specific people that you invited, you could do that, or you could open it up. And a lot of businesses, in addition to organizations like the library, like to use this for specific things coming up to gauge interest and see who's coming. So that's super helpful.
I have a couple of quick questions to come in here.
Sure.
One, first is, I don't seem to see my friends' posts anymore, mostly ads, but I don't post much either. How can I see my friends? So that's one that slipped by me here a little bit ago, a
Yeah.
couple minutes. The other one on the Messenger, this person asks, my Messenger says chat history is missing. Enter your PIN to restore chat history. What's happening here, and how do I get the PIN? I feel your pain, Christine.
Yeah.
So I guess they're two different topics, but I didn't
Totally.
neglect putting them out there. Maybe about the question is really not about Messenger particularly, but I don't see my friends' posts anymore, mostly ads.
Yeah.
How do I see my friends again?
That's a great question. Facebook is prioritizing ads in this case, on your platform. I highly recommend actually searching up your friends in the search bar and going to see their pages and seeing what you've missed. But also, actually, let's walk through this together. I don't have any friends right now because I ended up rejecting Kathleen's friend request because I just
How
needed it for the
dare you?
screenshot. I know I'm the villain. But let's see. I need to pull that up again. But we'll go to the Facebook page. So I'll just go to the library, for example. We'll pretend the library is my friend in this example. So Lawrence Public Library. We'll go to the page. So I highly recommend going to the top left corner, looking up your friends, and then clicking on their page. And when you go here, you can follow. So I recommend going to the bell icon, clicking on that, and then looking at the settings and seeing if to what degree you're following them. How are you getting notifications? So in the news feed, for example, if it's default, Facebook kind of gets free reign in terms of prioritizing the order of the way that you see things. If you want it to be like the main thing that you see in your feed, so if you want to see your friends' posts first, highly recommend putting them in the favorites category. And then you can also turn on notifications. So what do you want to know from them? So content, for example, is going to be normal posts. You could go there and say, I want the standard maybe to really get the full experience from your friends. So then you'll get specific notifications as well. Oh, I can't hear you, Laura.
Okay, okay. Someone says I'm seeing a blank screen. We can't see the screen share.
Oh no.
So here's the problem. Can't see the screen, says someone else. And I was having the same thing going on, but I was believing that I wasn't, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't, but yeah, we can't see your screen.
Oh man, I'll go back and show that again because that is
Okay.
absolutely, that is my fault. Let's try that again.
Let's try that again. Once more.
Yes. Can we see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's go back. So how I got to the Lawrence Public Library page, I went and searched Lawrence Public Library and I clicked on the page. Now that we're here, this is the important part. If you go to the top right, you'll see the bell icon here under following. You can click that and you can see under newsfeed, we have three options. Default, which means that it's kind of up to Facebook itself to prioritize how you see the post. Favorites, so if you want to see more of your friends, highly recommend changing their following setting on the newsfeed to favorites. So if you want to see more of them, that's the main thing. And then unfollow if you just don't want to see anything at all. But in your case, for your friends, I would suggest going to their specific profiles and picking favorites, and hopefully their posts will start to show up more often. In terms of notifications, I recommend going down to content and then picking the standard setting up top here, because that will give you the most amount of posts. So if they're sharing multiple times a day, their posts will show up more often than just the highlights, which is just the most suggested, like based on the algorithm. So if you do both of those, in theory, your friend's posts should show up more often.
Okay.
In terms of the Messenger question, I'm not sure what's going on with that. If maybe somebody could speak to, when you're seeing this message, is it showing up as a message, or does it show like, is it coming from a specific account?
I don't know. We're watching the chat box here.
Yeah.
Chat history is missing. This is, I don't know.
It shows up when I click on the messenger icon in the upper right corner.
So you click here and it does not show anything here. It just says chat history is missing.
That's correct.
I'm wondering, it might just be a setting in your chat settings. Let's see if I can see anything here.
Someone
Okay.
chimes in from the comments. I had that problem when I changed phones and computers.
Interesting. Yeah, it might be a case of the settings not being aligned on your phone and the computer at the same time. So getting them synced up is probably going to help that solution. That would be my best guess. I don't know if without actually seeing your screen and seeing what's going on, if I could be more helpful than that. But I would suggest exploring here the three dots of the chat and looking through the chat settings, especially if you're using them on different devices, checking on both devices to see if you can adjust the settings and seeing if those messages pop up. I apologize, I can't be more help than that.
Seems helpful to me.
Good, glad. I'm glad.
Yeah, she did mention that she just bought a new laptop. So
Okay, gotcha.
that might be the issue.
Yeah, definitely finagle with the settings. And I do know that our friends at the tech desk here at the library can be a great help with this type of thing. So if you ever want to come into the library down on the first floor, down the stairs, down at the tech desk, they could definitely walk you through more in person if you're still unable to find what's going on there. Yeah, from there, let's keep on going, unless there's any more questions.
I think we're good.
Oh, right. Just so you know where to find your events. So whether you are looking for event suggestions or wanting to see the events that you have saved or the events you've created, they are all in the same place. If you start on your news feed, so the homepage of Facebook, there's two places that you can look. You can either go to the bottom left here, there's a menu on the side and it has events there, or you can go to the top right and you'll see this little grid icon. And that will do its own drop-down menu, and you can see events there. Clicking either will get you to your events page. So if you're looking to see ones that you've saved for yourself, that you've said you're interested in, that you're going to, or that you've created and you want to check in how they're doing, they'll all be listed there. Stories are interesting on Facebook because they did not start on Facebook. Meta, the company that owns Facebook, owns both Facebook and Instagram. And so stories started, or not, Meta's version of stories is what I should say, started on Instagram. And so the way that you can share stories on Instagram is very robust and detailed, and there's a lot of wiggle room there for how you do it. And on Facebook, it's very basic. It's you'll find that a lot of the stories that appear on Facebook are just Instagram posts that were shared to Facebook. Essentially, a story is a 24-hour post. It's only up there for 24 hours that users and pages create that appears at the top of your newsfeed. As you can see here, these are all stories. And you can see there's a plus sign here too. Your profile picture will be there if you do not have a story up. And then I'll say create a story and you can create your own. But think of it as kind of a temporary billboard that you put at the top that your followers and friends can click through. Meta's version of stories here, like for example here, the City of Lawrence Facebook page shared an Instagram posts that they had made about city teams' focus on final snow cleanup in icy areas. So along the top of the screen, there's kind of like a little timer, kind of like the timeline of a video as it's playing. So it'll play for a certain amount of time. And once that has run out, it will move to the next story that is in the order on the screen. So if we were on the City of Lawrence screen and then you just let your stories play like a little video, they would move on to the Lawrence Public Library story and continue until you got out the stories. They're really helpful for knowing like something that's happening in real time. If there's like a temporary thing that a business wants to tell you, like this last week with all the snow, there are a lot of stories that were shared from posts to say like, you know, we will be closed today, or like we're closing early, closing at 4 p.m. And that's often how stories are used. People, especially on Instagram, will use them more casually as well, just saying like, I'm out having a good time with my friends or my family. Here's a picture we took, and just share that to kind of show like, this is something I'm doing right now. But more often than not, I see it used by companies and by organizations kind of sharing breaking news type of stuff. And then finally, let's talk about settings and privacy. So to get to the settings and privacy page, you'll go to the top right corner here, and you'll see your profile picture will be in the very top right corner next to the notification bell. You click on that, and then the drop-down menu will appear, and you'll see the little gear icon for settings and privacy. You'll click on that, which will then take you to this page. So it's a whole settings and privacy smorgasbord is what we'll call it. A whole lot of information here. If you are looking to change a privacy setting on a specific thing, like you know what you're looking for, I highly recommend looking in the search settings. So going up here in the top left, it says search settings, type in post privacy settings or something, and then it will pop up that way, because there's a lot of information here and it can be easy to get lost. If you don't know where to start with trying to make things more secure with privacy, I highly recommend starting with privacy check. Excuse me. Privacy Checkup, which is here under Tools and Resources, because it gives you a handful of different things to check in terms of privacy settings to see if you feel comfortable with what is being shared or made private on your specific Facebook account. So you'll see here when you click on Privacy Checkup, it gives you 5 different options: who can see what you share, how people can find you on Facebook, how to keep your account secure, your data settings on Facebook, and your ad preferences on Facebook. This is just a small collection of the different types of privacy settings, but these are cute little and honestly very helpful walkthroughs to talk to you about your settings on each of these topics. And so it's a great place to start. If you just take away anything from today, I'd highly recommend, if you have a Facebook page, go try your Privacy Checkup and click through all 5 of these to see if you feel comfortable with the settings. To go into more specific, when you click on them, you click continue, or if you click on any of them, it'll give you a little drop down here. So how to keep your account secure says whether or not your password is okay. If you want to turn on 2-factor authentication, which is essentially when you log into an account, you put in a password, that is 1 factor. And then the second factor is usually a different device. So it might say, hey, we just sent a code to your phone. We need you to type it in just to make sure it's you. You both have to know the password and have your phone with you at that moment to confirm that you are allowed into the account. So 2-factor authorization or authentication is very helpful. But I wanted to talk a little bit about your ad preferences on Facebook, since we're talking a lot about the information that's shared. So I clicked in just one into it, 1 frame into it. So it says you're going to learn about ads, profile information, and social interactions. So if we clicked on that, if we clicked continue, it tells us right away to help us figure out which ads you would most likely be interested in. We use information such as what you do on Facebook and other Meta products like Instagram. We may also consider what you do off of Facebook, such as on non-Facebook websites or apps. For example, if you visit an online shopping website, we might show you a clothing ad on Facebook. To decide whether we can use information about what you do off of Facebook to show you ads, you can visit ad preferences. So this is really helpful information. It makes sense. It feels very intuitive that Facebook knows when you've done something on the website, but the fact that it can kind of track your information and what you're doing and searching for off the website and then use that to inform the algorithm, it can be surprising. It's a wonder how they can do it, and the answer is technology that I do not fully understand. But it's something that you can mess with in the settings. Because Facebook is a company that is wanting to make money and make that happen, they will make the default be give us your information. So it's important to go into settings and privacy settings like this to check and make sure that you feel good about that. If you giving your information to Facebook or Instagram or whatever other social media account, it's fine and does not bother you. You do not have to change any of these settings. But if you do want to have more control of your information and what you put online, this is a great way to start. And that's just one example of the walkthroughs. We can look through more of them if you'd like. But that's the kind of the end of my formal presentation. And if y'all have any additional questions, we can go back to the Facebook page and look through more stuff.
I went away. Here I am.
Why do some posts from friends not allow you to share them, even though they think you can share them?
That usually has to do with privacy settings. They might not be familiar with what privacy settings they have on, or might not know what they've defaulted to. Facebook, when they make changes to certain settings, like in their policies and stuff, might make things automatically. So they might, even if they feel very confident in what their privacy settings are, might need to go check again and make sure that this can be shared by friends. Like that might be the setting that they need to change, but going into their specific privacy settings, like kind of where we just were, is going to be the easiest way. The chances are those privacy settings aren't on. If they're sharing something from somebody else's page, for example, like if they saw a news story or something that moved over and they shared it from somebody else, it might be that person's privacy settings that might be on, at which point we can't really do much about that. But if it's their personal posts, that's going to be within in their own settings. But that's a great question. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm just having, oh, here's a question in the box. I had asked a question on a group site with lots of other posts, but didn't know if it was answered. Oh, no.
Yes, that's when we're talking, is this a Facebook group specifically?
Yes.
Groups are
Carol.
interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know. Carol, do you want to unmute and answer that or?
Yes,
Okay.
she says yes.
Oh, perfect. So for example, I joined the group, what events are happening in Lawrence, Kansas and surrounding areas, just for the example, and you can go in and anybody who is a member of groups, and groups can kind of vary. This one in particular is a public group, so I did not need to be like accepted by somebody to get in. But anybody can post things in. And this one, for example, is this is a roller derby thing, for example, where people ask a question or submit an event, right? There's no official people necessarily running the group, is the thing to remember. Some groups have really formidable moderators who do answer and who do respond. But on a platform like Facebook, that's not guaranteed. So it's possible that the people who could answer your question haven't gotten around to it. It's not the priority. But because Facebook groups can be kind of run by anybody, if people don't have the answer to that question or haven't gotten around to it, there's no timeline as to when they'll respond. It's essentially a public group is just any individual who frequents that group might respond or might not. So here, for example, no one has responded since January 7th. No one's liked or shared or anything like that. But the information is there. It's good. Some groups work more as kind of like a bulletin board where you can share things rather than making sure that you're getting your questions answered. And it kind of depends.
Another question. Is it risky to share personal photos on Facebook? And now some more questions are coming in. If it had been, it would be under notification. That's Carol responding.
Oh,
And then here's another one. This was my question and I missed your answer. I don't seem to see my friends post anymore, mostly ads. I don't post each either. How can I see my friends? I think you addressed that a little bit by
Yeah,
going
that
to
was-
their specific pages.
That was already answered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one question that came in just before that one had to do with, is it risky to share your personal photos on Facebook?
That's a great question. It depends. It depends on what you mean by risky. In theory, Facebook can use what you put on there for whatever, but chances are they won't, because why would they take a random picture from a random individual for whatever reason? I think something to consider is that like they're training AI, for example, so creating images and stuff. So they might take your photos and use them to train an AI generation program, and that way that information might be used. But ultimately, if you're more concerned about people being able to see your photos that you wouldn't want to see your photos, so we're talking real people, not the people at Facebook, individuals in your life or in the world, you can adjust those privacy settings within the privacy settings menu that we kind of looked at, or individually. So every time you post a photo, if you say, I just want this post to be seen by just my friends, you can go to that post settings and make sure that they're just being seen by your friends. If you're
Right.
just concerned about people seeing those photos on the internet and using them, I wouldn't worry as much about that as I would necessarily about like things like using them to train AI. I think that's going to be more common at this point.
The follow-up on that was family photos. A question about, is that dangerous or?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some parents that don't want their children's photos to be on Facebook and other social media sites. I've heard friends who have grandkids and that sort of thing, where the parents just say, please don't post anything on Facebook because they just don't want their kids' images out there. That's, I think, a personal preference, but I agree. I think your settings are the key, that you're not like sharing them publicly. There's, obviously a lot of bad actors out there that you want to avoid, and just keeping it among your friend group or your family, whatever you set up, is probably the best policy.
Yeah, and here's two more questions. Someone asks, is it possible to be on Facebook without being tracked? But no, I don't know. So maybe we should start with that one. Is it possible to have a Facebook account or be on Facebook and not be tracked? I get the impression you're asking for it, I don't know.
The short answer is no. If you're on any social media, by electing to put whatever information you need to put in to even sign up for an account, even if you never touched it again, right? You're
Right.
probably using an email, you're probably connecting it to the device that you're using. They have that information to some degree. So even just signing up for an account on any social media platform, or email account, for example, like Google has your information through Gmail as well. When you interact on the social internet, you're agreeing to whatever the terms of service are, or whatever is required to create an account. And so the short answer is no. It's kind of more about to what extent do you want to keep your information private, and then figuring out whether or not you want to create an account, or what settings you want to set up in place to kind of maintain the privacy to the best of your ability.
Okay. Here's another question. When you post pictures to a post and later post new pictures to a post, what do you do different for the photos to go to the new post instead of going to the old post, if this makes any sense?
I think I understand what you're saying. That's, yeah. We go to my little account here. We have the pictures that I picked for this profile. I love Calvin and Hobbes, so I made my profile picture Calvin and Hobbes, and then a specific comment of Calvin from the Snowman. If I wanted to go and post an account, these photos already exist on my profile. So if we went to photos, we clicked there at the top of my Facebook timeline on my profile page. They're already there. They have not been organized into albums, except automatically by Facebook. Like, they know what profile pictures I have and which cover photos I've had. But the photos themselves are just there. But when you go to make a new post, for example, so if I were to click here, what's on my mind, and click photo and video, I can add photos and videos. I can pull them from my computer, or I can get them specifically from Facebook. And it kind of depends on how you want to use the photo, because essentially every time you create a post, you're kind of creating a new photo to some extent. They can kind of be connected in a way. So if you're pulling it from a photo that you've already uploaded, like as your profile picture, those are going to be connected digitally. But ultimately, by creating the post, it's this new digital location where the picture exists now. And so to some degree, you kind of have to create a copy, but that's kind of the nature of creating posts on social media across all platforms. It gets super complicated, but that's the gist.
All right. Here's another question, and maybe that sums it up. How do I delete an account? Now, but specifically, my example is when there's a death in the family. And when you and I were talking before we put this wonderful program together, I said, it's very unsettling to get a friend request from somebody who you love very much and they died a year ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, so I think, so the example was, I want to delete an account when there's a death in the family. I mean, how does one go about that? I don't know.
In
Well-
terms of the examples we're talking about, because if you have access to the account, like if this is the real account that belonged to a family member, for example, I'm logged into this one, we could go to my settings right now, settings and privacy, and click on settings and search for, I believe it would be account deactivation. Let's see. They always make this very difficult because they don't want you to delete your account, so you really have to
Yes,
go
yes.
digging. But yeah, I think it would be in the account center is where we want to look. Yeah, if you all want to email my fake email that I created, please meet benmodellprofile@gmail.com. Go down to accounts. You would go through this step by step and figure out how to do it. Like I said, they don't want you to delete your profile. They want you to stick around. They want you to engage with the platform. They want your information. They want your engagement.
Yeah,
But if it was, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. If
I
it's,
was
sorry, go ahead. No, it's all you, Kathleen. Go for it.
No, you are exactly right that you need to have, if like you want to delete like a loved one's Facebook page, you have to have their password and access to their account, which is something we talk about in our before you check out classes, as you know, and keeping a list of all the passwords to your social media accounts and other accounts available for people to find. But if you don't have that information, and just from a personal experience, like when my mother died, we did not have that information. And so after several months, I figured out somehow how to contact Facebook and say she died. It's like you getting like happy birthday, Mary Jane, coming through your feed on her birthday and that sort of thing. And they were great. They were very quick. I think I had to maybe send them a death certificate, something like that, but they handled it pretty expeditiously. So the lesson there, I think, is give your password information to somebody who you trust in the situation where you want to have your account deleted at some point. So I don't know. They handle it pretty well, but it took a while to figure out how to do it. So that's my experience.
Well, that's good news. And that makes me think of also when somebody showed up, another Laura Lewis showed up and was asking for friends, and it wasn't me. And someone said to me offhandedly, just change your password. And I thought, okay. But then isn't that other Laura Lewis still floating around somewhere causing trouble for other people? I don't know.
Yeah. In this case, was it another real person named Laurel Lewis, or was
I
it
don't
somebody
think
like
so.
with your
No.
photo,
I
like
think it
pretending to
was
be you?
might have been was just another Laura Lewis asking to, would you be my friend? And and I don't know.
Yeah. Changing your password is a good tip for when you're worried that your specific account is not secure. And that's actually one of the things on the privacy checklist. It asks you to like make sure that you have a good password, that you're not using it in a lot of different places, that it could, if it was stolen from one website, it can be stolen now pretty easily from this website. But in this case, it's a different account. It's a different person pretending to be you. The option to do is to report that account. And the easiest way to do that, and I don't really have a good example because I don't want to actually report anybody. But if we did go to the library account, just as an example, we could go to the top right and in the drops, we could report. So it's a report page. And then going through that process, it'll ask you questions about why you're reporting the page. One of the things that got changed in the policy this past week is like the reasons that pages get taken down or posts get taken down. It's basically harder to get things taken down now than it used to be, which is why some people are concerned. But in this case, I'm pretty sure based on their policies that it would be very hard for them to argue with the fact that like stolen identity is not something I think they rolled back on. It might take a while, but it's worth doing. So if you see somebody acting in that way, highly recommend reporting. But also post on your account and let people know in your life that this is the, like, I'm, you know, you follow me already, we're friends. Somebody's pretending to be me. Here's a screenshot of their account. Don't fall for it. If they ask you
Right.
for anything, block them, report them, all that.
I've received those, and I think our last question, and it makes sense, because we are out of time. Does Facebook ever close or deactivate accounts if there's no activity for a long time? Or are they always there?
Yeah, I don't know at what point, because there's like a bunch of factors in terms of like interactions and stuff that will like kind of restart the timer. But essentially on every social media platform, to some extent, they don't want to hold on to this information if they're not getting something out of it. They don't want to carry that space.
Right.
So at a certain point, if you have not logged in, even if it's as simple as logging in and looking at a page, not touching anything else, the timer kind of restarts. But it's
Okay.
different for every social media platform.
And somebody responded, there are people that have the same name on their account, not trying to scam. When you look at the personal information, it is different. So you need
True.
to look up that other Laura Lewis, wherever she is, and find out if she lives where I live.
Exactly.
It happened. Okay. Wow. I feel like we're just scratching the surface here. Don't you all? We could ask questions forever. Wow, Ben, what a great presentation.
Oh,
Wow.
thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna, yes, you're getting a thumbs up
Yeah.
and some applause. I could understand it. Were you a teacher?
I taught a little bit in grad school, but yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
I thought, yes, you know how to deliver the goods. Thank you so much. A lot of thank yous pouring in the chat box. Thank you so much. This was really a good conversation for me. Sometimes, you know, you get something going and you say, oh, whatever, but to just understand the depth of it, it's daunting, but yet it isn't. I love the phrase, it isn't rocket surgery. You know, we can all catch up. So thank you very much. And thank you everybody for coming out tonight on your computer to talk with us. Stay warm and we'll see you next time. And next time, I believe we're talking about Instagram.
Mhm.
So we'll
With
see how
Ben again.
again. Yeah,
Ben again.
All right. Well, why not? All right. Thanks everybody. And we'll see you at the library. Bye. Thanks, Ben.